Woo woo woo! What's up, everyone? It's Chats with Chanda Samvara. Okay. 2 days ago, I heard the quote saying, "A lot of times it's fear dressed up as wisdom." And this is an area that, I've often have had several conversations with, of all people, my mother about. Because she was always, you got to use wisdom, you got to use wisdom. And I'm like, no, you got to walk in faith, you got to walk in faith. And faith without works is dead. And so we would often go back and forth about, how do you discern when and why and what you're doing? And so had a situation arise with a close friend of mine that needed some assistance, and I wasn't able to get there, and I asked someone else to go there for me. And the response wasn't what I thought, and I'm clear that I'm saying what I thought it should have been. A lot of times as believers, everybody, the saying is everybody want to be a Christian till it's time to serve. And the reason being because when Christ calls upon you, we get in church and we say, yes, Lord, I'll do whatever you want me to do, God. Yes, God, I'll walk and I'll love my neighbor, God, as myself. But then when it's time to put down your plans, your agenda, and to serve someone else because there is a need, it's always, I don't know, this didn't fit into my schedule. Why would you do that? Why would you ask this person? And ultimately, if the provision was made and God was there and God moved, so why are we complaining? We're complaining because it doesn't fit with your own personal agenda. It doesn't fit with your desire that you have. A lot of times when we claim that we are Christians, we are believers, then that means we ought to bear his fruit. And a lot of times we don't bear fruit, we just go to church. Selah on that. We do not bear fruit. We just go to church. But when it's time, one of the things that being a Christian is loving your neighbor as yourself, is being able to be there for someone when the timing is not right, when it doesn't fit into your day. You get that phone call. I think about, and I've been talked to several times because I'm the person. I get a phone call, I pray and I move. If I know it's God, I pray and I move. Go into the dark places. We're in a society, and you hear a lot of people now talking about, even the scripture where it talks about gross darkness. And so here it is in the earth realm. There's a lot of darkness happening. I can literally say today was the day that, one of my students, his dad who was in hospice died, and so they had to come get him from school. This is a dark day for this student. It's a dark day because this is a student that has lost a mother. It's a dark day because now it's, where's this child going to be? Is this child going to have to go to force? It's a dark day for this child. This day did not happen the way, we thought. It did not happen the way we as teachers get up and we go to school and we're going to do this and we have this, and this. We were not anticipating a phone call from the social worker. And how do we provide wraparound services and we still have other students we have to service? We have to understand that as spirit filled believers, born again believers, those that bear the name of Christ, we ought to always ever be ready. One of the things that I am truly, truly thankful for is my second leader in ministry training, Apostle Kenny Black Sr., always talked about us being suitable and adaptable in every situation. And though things come, you didn't anticipate it, you have to respond. A lot of people want Christ, but then they judge the crack addict. They judge the prostitute. They judge the ones that are seemingly on the low end of this. How could they live those lives? Why is she just being a whore? Why is this, and that? But can Christ call upon you to go and be part of his redeeming love for that whore? Can Christ call upon you, and are you willing to step out of your comfort zone? Are you willing to open your home for someone that lifestyle is a lot sketchy? And truth of the matter is, a lot of us won't, because I got to protect mine. I got to use wisdom. But the wisdom of God profounds in its foolishness of man. The wisdom of God, his ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts, for his ways are higher than our ways. Maybe God wanted you to go get that young lady and let her live with you so she can see another example literally modeled out for you. A lot of times I look back, and as a woman who has not birthed natural children, I look at how people provide everything for their kids to the point where the kids are so spoiled that they don't understand life comes with struggle. Life comes with pain. Life comes with disappointment. You often hear even now, throughout the generation wars and Gen X talking about, we didn't get no participation trophy. No, you lost. And in life, there's a lot of loss. For those that bear the name of Christ, there's a lot of loss. There's a gospel here in America that's being taught, and people are believing it, not realizing it's totally in contrary to the word. They pick and choose which scripture they want to believe. They're frustrated with their kids. They judge their husband. The person on the job is a devil, not understanding that if our steps are ordered of the Lord, and iniquity cannot have dominion over us, and if great is he that's in us than he that's in the world, then when we come upon the scene, the atmosphere must shift to Christ in us. Maybe the problem is we don't take time to seek God. Maybe the problem is we really do not dwell with the Lord. We are not in the secret place of the Most High. We are not remained stable, unmovable. We are not fixed underneath his shadow. We come and go as we please. We have our list of petitions, our list of supplications, our list of prayers, and then we get up. But we don't take the time to sit and hear. We don't take the time when we say, Lord, give us our daily bread. How many times people in ministries in particular, they have their prayer calls at 5 a.m., 6 a.m., 12 noon, 7 p.m. We're going to pray. But when's the last time you've got on a prayer call without an agenda and said, Father, what's on your heart? Maybe that's more so of what we need to do. Maybe it's more so of us taking time to get into the reflection of the mirror of the word and allow God to speak to us and give us our agenda and our day. Maybe we shouldn't be so quick to be offended that when someone says, I don't understand, can you paint the picture for me, as opposed to being offended and saying, no, I'm not answering, quote, end quote. You take time to elaborate because the person invited you to speak. But it's easy to be offended because you're caught between a rock and a hard place. And in understanding, the word will find you out. I'm grateful that when I came up in ministry, I had real spiritual mothers that would check me on my attitude, check me on what I wore, check me on how I rolled my eyes, check me on how my face said a whole bunch of stuff. Even though I kept my mouth closed, I was trying to be right. I didn't say anything. But my entire face and my entire spirit spoke something contrary to the word of God. When the word comes and seeks us all out, we have to take the time to realize, you know what? Chanda, maybe you shouldn't have had that conversation. Maybe you should have prayed a little while longer about that. And also realizing that confrontation isn't drama. Confrontation is life. Change is life. We live in a society of people, I don't do drama, I don't do this, but then you don't admit you're mad. So when we're having a conversation, that passive aggressive spirit is shucking and jiving, and we can't get to the root issue. Father's wanting to do something here. Father's wanting to do something in a relationship. Father's not wanting the enemy to come in between the union between you and your husband, but you're so busy being offended that you don't see it. Because now you have to be right. Sometimes you have to be able to take the time to be quiet and learn the other person. We're a Christian. Are you ready to serve? We say we're in the army of the Lord, but we don't want to fight. We don't want to get scarred. We don't want to have war wounds left. Well, I hate to tell you this. It's a bloody mess. A lot of times as believers. It always amazes me, people have programs, and I've been invited out to speak. I've spoke several functions, and, people that know me know I almost always turn everything down until Father tells me it's an assignment for me. And when people call, hey, I'm going to do this, I'm planning this, I want to do this, can you be there? And a lot of times people invite because they won't labor before God, but they want to invite you. They want to invite me because of how God uses me, but yet they won't labor before God. I'll never forget years ago, I was in this multi-level marketing, and a young lady had exalted herself to the highest position. And she was talking about successful people do what unsuccessful people don't. That's why successful people have what unsuccessful people won't. And I caught that thing in the spirit, and I've been rocking with that thing close to 35 years now. Why? Because a lot of times everybody wants the success. Everybody wants to be an entrepreneur, not realizing, oh, you could be working 100-hour weeks. You don't even want to work 40 faithfully for the man that's giving you benefits and everything else. You're not ready to be an entrepreneur. But guess what? The good thing about being a Christian, being a believer, being able to go to Daddy God, to go to the source, to go to the Creator, is that His grace is sufficient, and He continually gives us more and more chances to get it right. He gives us another chance to honor those relationships, another chance to honor that person, another chance to serve. But a lot of times believers are scared. If we tell the truth, the church in America is a joke. We saw it with the election and everything that came about. It's a joke. We don't want to really serve. We don't want to go into the dark places. We don't want to, really labor and fast for that woman in church, and her daughter is a whoremonger. You just judge the girl, but you don't see the soul wounds. You just want she just need to get delivered. And because her deliverance didn't look like yours, her deliverance session wasn't about coming to church for an hour, coughing and spitting in a bucket. Her deliverance for her is continually failing forward to success. Her deliverance is in the areas where the trauma has caused her brain cells to die off and to literally be black, the synapses. Her deliverance is walking towards God and allowing new brain cells to be birthed, allowing new neural pathways to be created in the midst of the old ones that's still trying to hold on. No one disciples anymore. We want church membership, but we really don't want to disciple people. We really don't want to bring someone in the home and let them live with us for 3 years and walk it out. Everyone's a Christian until it's time to serve. Everyone's a Christian until it's time to go to that dark place. Everyone's a Christian until it's time. Well, I'll pray, but you can't dare sit amongst those that drink. You can't dare be in the club. You can't dare being, light and darkness have no communion. Not understanding, well, how does the gospel get preached? There has to be a preacher, but the preacher has to be in the place where the people need to hear the gospel. Oh, let's think about that for a minute. Woo! Think about that. You know, we done been saved and in the way for 50 years, and that's the problem. Some folks have just been in the way. In the church, deaconess, missionary, got the most beautiful hats. It's pastor anniversary. It's the church 130th anniversary, and yet the community is no different. And yet Jesus said, greater works, greater works, greater works. I hate to tell you this, people, but it's about to get a little darker. Some of you, it's time for you to get back in boot camp. It's time for you to stop saying, oh, well, my alarm is set and I get up at 5. I have breakfast at 5:15. I take the kids. I do this. For some of you, it's the season of no more sleep. You sleep when you dead. It's being able to do what others don't do in order to have the presence of God, the power of God, the victory in God that others don't have. It's sad that right now on social media, there is a major on a male platform of a Muslim, not just Muslim, but in a Nation of Islam leader talking about the issue with men in the Christian church. And a lot of times people don't understand, but they fast, they discipline their body. The nation, they're vegans, they take care of their temples, but they don't have the presence, they don't have the sweet communion. So they do all of that within self. Wonder what would happen if an entire church decided that they would go monk mode. What would happen if an entire church decided to follow the voice and the command of their servant in the earth realm and really discipline themselves first? Not just eating and putting anything they want in their mouth because they just eat and then want you to pray for them on the altar on Sunday for healing. How about when we say yes this time, it's real? Give God a genuine yes. And so I would love to see people's responses. I would love for you to say, everybody's a Christian until, because man, I got so many things I could say right now, but I would love to hear your feedback. Let's chat about this. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about some of the things. Everybody's a Christian until they have to look in their own house. Everybody's a Christian until they realize they're not in a glass house. Everybody's a Christian judging other people's kids until they get a video on their phone of their kid. Everybody's a Christian until they realize that their daughter's been lying and she has a whole nother secret life. Everybody's a Christian until they realize that that young man needs his father. You are not end all be all. You've been forced in a role, but mother, that young man needs his father. He needs a father. And how about you introduce him to the father? And when God send people in his life, whether it's the natural father or other people, that you learn to receive and not try to dictate. I'm going off on a whole nother tangent. I'm going to stay focused. So I'm not even going to edit this out. Everyone's a Christian until Everyone's a Christian until it's time to serve and go in a dark place. Everyone's a Christian until it's time to go get that person and help them because they need it. Everybody's a Christian. Are you hearing the cries of your community? Are you hearing the cries of your neighbors? Are you hearing the cries of those that you call friends and you call sister? Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know. Maybe you didn't know because you so busy praying for you and your four no more that you haven't taken time to go in the spirit realm to say, God, what does she need? How can I pray for him? God, you're upset. All you do is complain about your husband. To pack that man, put him on a corner, see how long he'll be there. Because you don't want to walk in the word. You talk about him not walking in the word. God holds us accountable for self. What did you do? It's not about what they did. It's not about what he did to you. Yeah, it was wrong. It was bad. It was horrible. You shouldn't have had to gone through that. But guess what? You made it through. You made it through. So as for those of us that bear the name of Christ, let's be determined that we are going to be better. Let the Spirit of God and His will truly come alive in us in 2025. Let's not wait until the beginning of the year. Number one, if you're a Christian, you really should be following the Jewish calendar, but that's a whole nother conversation. Um, let's ask God, Lord, what's on your heart? What is it you desire? And when you're in the midst of your day and things happen, and if you're trying to adjust and you can't, it's like, whew, okay, Lord, I'm going to shake it off. What do I do right now? And then be thankful. Your community may be one other person. You reach out to your community, that one other person, say, hey, pray for me right now. This is going on. I am thankful. I am bountifully blessed that I have a great community of believers. That today, when that situation with that young man, and another situation with another student, and another situation with another student, and another situation with another student's mama happened, I was able to reach out to my community to ask for prayer in the spirit realm. We respond to everything in the natural, but we don't understand. You hear people say spirit, mind, soul, mind, and body. But really, it's just two realms. It's the spirit realm and the soulish realm. Which one are you operating in? Now, in the soulish realm, we have the mind, the will, and emotion, but it's not a separate one. How about as we're moving into 2025 and we're allowing God to continually come alive and allow things to be birthed in us, that we will truly walk in the spirit and not fulfill the dictates and the lust of the flesh, which means we're not looking at things our way. We're not looking at what, if God moved and he protected, then why are we still complaining? Uh-oh, that's a hard issue. How about we lay before God and lay down and get our hearts right? How about recognizing, you know what, I really do need some help. And for some of us, you see everybody, even Christians, Jesus in therapy, but some of y'all therapists ain't walking in the spirit, and they gonna lead you right to hell and ruin your whole household. How about you go to the one that truly has the answer? You're spending money and you got the one that created you, that knows the end from the beginning. How about you take that money and you take that hour that you're at the therapist and you pray in tongues for an hour? Or you just sit in silence with a notebook and say, Father, speak to me. But after 2 minutes, we get frustrated. It's easier to go to the therapist and talk it out. And yes, in a multitude of counsel, there is safety. There is. Anybody that knows me, my answer is C, all the above. Is it a demon? Yes. Is it mental health? Yes. Or is it C, all the above? But you have to learn to navigate each and every season. Everybody wants to be a Christian until. I want you guys to take time to, I asked you to respond to that in the comment section, but I also want you guys to take time to begin to think about a time when you thought one thing and then God allowed a different thought to come forth. And then you couldn't see it in the moment, but a year later, 5 years later, you realize, you know what? She really was right. I really was wrong. Could this be what's happening right now? Trust me. There is a great falling away. We are truly living with the cycle of apostasy. We are truly living in the book of Judges. Everybody wanted a king. Now everybody got Trump here in America. Trump's your king. That's who you wanted. Trump's your king. America had to have a king. The Israelites had to have Saul. But how about we continue to pray for the prophets behind the scene, the Nathans to rise up, the Samuels to rise up, to be able to speak. All I want to do is say, Selah, pause, think on this thing. Now, if you're really deep, you go get that journal out. Have a great evening. Thank you so much for joining Chats with Chanda Samara. Chanda always got something to chat about. So come on in. Let's get to talking. Good night.